Hi there. This week, we're talking about something that might be shaping your child's eating habits, and it has nothing to do with what's on their plates. Hi, and welcome to The Weekly Parent, a podcast for people who Google everything, overthink most things, and occasionally spiral, wondering if they're totally screwing it all up. I'm your host, Dr. Kiyah Duffey. Let's dive in. So as parents, if you're like me, you spend a lot of time worrying about the food that you put down in front of your kids. And honestly, I don't really do much to help in this matter because I'm constantly talking about the latest research. New research is coming out that shows that, we shouldn't eat hot dogs and cereal is bad for us, or it's worse than it used to be. And oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do as a parent? We spend a lot of time thinking about this. On top of that, we want our kids to be healthy and to grow and develop and hit all of their milestones. And we're concerned, are they eating enough? Are they getting enough protein? How much protein do they need? Are they getting all of the vitamins and minerals they need? Are they eating vegetables? They don't really like vegetables. How am I supposed to get them to like vegetables? It feels overwhelming and it feels daunting. But here's the thing. What if I were to tell you that what actually has the biggest influence on your kids' eating behaviors is not what is in front of them on the plate, but instead, it is your parenting style. I know that can be hard to hear, and it was for me too. But knowing about this and hearing about this helped me make some critical changes, and I want to talk about those today. So first of all, what is a parenting style? A parenting style is basically the tone, the structure, and the general emotional climate in your home, created by you and your parenting partner, your husband, your spouse, your partner, or whoever it is with whom you are co-parenting. And this style is shaped by all kinds of things in your own life. It's shaped by your beliefs, it's shaped by your upbringing, by your stress level, your support system, your partner, and all of those things for them, books you read, podcasts you listen to, influencers that influence you. And when it comes to feeding, your parenting style is also shaped by your own food past. Researchers generally categorize parenting style into one of 4 different groups. So the first one is something called an authoritarian parent or an authoritarian style. And this is characterized by someone who likes to have a lot of control and has lower levels of warmth. You can think a person with an authoritarian style has strict rules. They really are focused on obedience and a because I said so kind of mindset. And in a parenting style like this, in a home like this, there is not a lot of space for negotiation or for kids having autonomy. What the parent says goes. The second style is called the permissive parenting style. And this one is characterized by high warmth and very low control. So the opposite of authoritarian. These parents are extremely loving, very kind, very generous, but any boundaries that they might set on their kids are incredibly loose. They may avoid conflict or try to make their kids happy at all costs. The third, and I think this is not relevant for any of you who are listening or watching here because you're here. The very fact you're here says that you are not this kind of style. But the third style is a negligent or neglectful parenting style. And that is characterized by low levels of warmth as well as low levels of control. There's very little structure, very little engagement. Again, I think we can set that one fully aside. So what is number 4? What is the 4th parenting style? It is authoritative. Sounds a lot like authoritarian, but authoritative. This one is characterized by having high levels of control and high levels of warmth. And this parenting style, according to experts, is the parenting sweet spot. Parents who characterize or live into authoritative parenting are firm but fair. They provide structure and expectations, but they also provide that much needed emotional support to their kids. So again, authoritative, not authoritarian. Very easy to mix up and yet very, very different. So how does this show up at mealtime? How does our parenting style show up at mealtime? Let's step back and bring this into the kitchen or into the dining room table. And let's look at what each parenting style can sound like at the dinner table. If you are an authoritarian parent, remember, high levels of control, low levels of warmth or emotional support, you might find yourself saying things like, "You're not leaving this table until you clean your plate," or "You can't get dessert until you finish your vegetables. This is what's for dinner, eat it or go hungry." It can sound harsh, right? But the focus here is compliance and not connection. It is, I decide, I am saying, you have no part in making this decision, and I don't really want to hear how you feel about that. All right, permissive. If you're a permissive parent, "Oh, you don't like that? Yeah, I spent a lot of time making this and we're having spaghetti tonight, but you don't like that? Okay, I'll go make you something else. What do you want?" Or, "You know what? If you're not hungry right now, that's okay. You don't need to eat dinner with the rest of us. You can just have whatever you want later." Or, "You just want to eat crackers again, just like you did for breakfast and lunch? Okay, that's okay." I exaggerated a little bit, but a permissive parent would say, "You don't like what I've made? Okay, I will cater to your needs and wishes and desires." This is a well-intentioned parent. I want to be very clear here. Extremely well-intentioned. They want their child to be happy, but it often leads to chaos and inconsistency and a lot of extra work for parents and low food variety for their kids, and actually can contribute to picky eating. I'm going to skip the negligent style. We don't really need to talk about that. That is, kids are fending for themselves. But let's look at what it could look like if you are an authoritative parent. Again, that high level of control and a high level of warmth and emotional support. Yes, this is what we're having for dinner tonight. You don't have to eat it. That choice is yours. But this is what is your option. Or you might find yourself saying something like, "You know what? It's okay if you don't like it yet. Let's keep trying this in different ways. How do you think we should make it next time?" Or you might find yourself saying something like, "We do come to the table together. So even if you're choosing not to eat, we'd like you to sit with us." Again, this approach balances both structure and compassion. It supports autonomy and it provides very clear expectations. And why does all of this matter? Here's what the research tells us about these parenting styles. Kids raised in authoritative households tend to have better self-regulation, higher fruit and vegetable intake, and they are less resistant to trying new foods. Authoritarian and permissive styles, on the other hand, are much more strongly associated with picky eating, which I said earlier, and with higher rates of obesity and food-related anxiety. And that is huge. Again, I want to just pause and reflect on this. This research is suggesting that how we show up as parents at the dinner table can have big influences on how our kids think and feel about themselves, about food, about their bodies, and about eating. So again, our meals, what we're providing when we're putting food on the table for our families, for our kids, for ourselves, it's not just about the nutrition that we're providing. It's not just about the macro and micronutrients. Meals are a time where kids can learn about boundaries, they learn about independence, about emotional regulation, and even social cues. They're incredibly powerful opportunities for us to, without actually teaching, give our kids these lessons. And so if we're constantly over-controlling or giving in, we're missing a great opportunity to build those skills with our kids and to help our kids build those skills for themselves. But here's something else. And I'm going to say it gently, but say it clearly. Your parenting style didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was shaped by your upbringing. And specifically when we're talking about food, it was shaped by what food meant to you and to your parents in your household when you were growing up. It was shaped by how your parents talked about weight, what they expected you to eat or didn't, what they offered or what they didn't, what they celebrated and what they didn't, what they restricted and what they didn't. We did not grow up with a lot of money, and food was always something that we needed to be careful not to waste in my house. And while my parents didn't say specifically, you have to clean your plate in order to get dessert, I knew that wasting food was wasting money. And so when I had my own kids, I had to be really careful not to say to them this, not to give them the same message that wasting food is just wasting money, because I had a tendency to want them to clear their plates before they had something else to eat, before we had dessert, or because that's what I was taught as a kid. And I had to work really hard to not pass that on to my kids and to help them continue to listen to their own signals of hunger and fullness rather than paying attention to what was on their plate. Becoming aware of these inherited patterns, this is the first step for all of us. Once you see it, once you begin to identify what those patterns are and where they're coming from, then we can begin to start to shift where we want. So what can this look like in real life? Let's talk about some things you can actually say if you find yourself, beginning down a path and you want to make a shift. Instead of saying something like, you don't want this? That's okay. I'll make you something else. You could say, well, this is what we're serving for dinner tonight. You don't have to eat it, but the kitchen will be closed after dinner. That one, I'll tell you, that sounds small, but it sends a powerful message. I think in this day and age, we feel, partly because we see it everywhere, that food is just, it's any time is eating time. And it's critical for our bodies to have those cycles of not eating, of fasting, mini cycles of fasting, right, in between meals, and to have breaks between meals. It gives our body a chance to digest the food that we've eaten, to feel full, and then feel hunger again. And telling our kids the kitchen is closed is a very clear way of saying, I'm not making more. You don't have to eat what's here, but I'm not making more. And that doesn't have to mean, by the way, that the snack drawer is open even if the kitchen is closed. The kitchen is closed as we're going to be done eating. Giving your kids messages like this, it can feel like a really small thing, but I want to tell you it's really powerful because it sends the message that I trust you. I am not here to pressure or punish you, but to help guide you through this process and to support you through it. And it means that you stay consistent. Again, that is another critical piece, especially if you're dealing with a picky eater at home. That consistency helps your child learn to trust themselves and all of those feelings of hunger and fullness that they experience. All right. So if you're curious about this and you want to try this week, what is something that you can do? First, just try noticing how you respond when your child refuses food. Do you double down and demand that they eat it? Do you panic and immediately offer an alternative option? Offer to make them something else to eat? Do you just disconnect entirely from them, throw your hands up and say, well, whatever, you do it? What would it look like if you took one small step towards a more authoritative approach? Not 2, not 10, just 1. Maybe it means that you set a clear boundary about what is being served or when food is available. Maybe it means in those moments where you feel like you want to jump to a habit response, maybe it means taking a deep breath and not forcing whatever that response was going to be. Maybe you find a way to offer a food you've already offered, but in a different format to help your kids explore variety. And if you want to know more, if any of this has resonated and you really want to explore and learn more about parenting styles and the relationship with how that shows up at our dinner table, here are some resources for you, and I will drop these in the show notes or in the blog notes. Ellen Satter's Division of Responsibility. I have talked about this before many times. I will link to some of those episodes, those videos. In feeding, it is foundational, and it is evidence-based guidance about how we as parents and caregivers show up at the dinner table and what our responsibilities are and what our children's responsibilities are. Ellen Satter's Division of Responsibility. You might also look at the book How to Raise a Mindful Eater by Marianne Jacobson. This is great for helping you shift your mindset about how we think about eating. And also, I have developed the Meals Questionnaire and values work to help you identify what it is that matters to you and how you can apply that at dinner time. You can find both of those on my website, drkiyahduffey.com. Parenting is hard. Feeding our family is hard. Feeding myself is hard. But when we get curious about our styles, our parenting styles, how we are showing up for our kids, not just the food that we're putting down in front of them, we open a door to having less stress, to deeper understanding, and to finding more connection with our kids. Remember, mealtime is about more than just literally feeding our kids. We are helping to shape how they feel about food, about their bodies, and about themselves. It starts with having an awareness that we are doing this and how we are showing up to do this. Being empathetic with ourselves and with our kids, and giving ourselves a little bit of grace when we inevitably fail, which we will, and coming back and trying again. Because, friends, this is a marathon, not a sprint. I know that is trite, but true. I'll see you next week. Thanks for hanging out with me on The Weekly Parent. If something you heard today made you think, laugh, or feel just a little more human, don't be shy. Subscribe, text it to your BFF or group chat, or leave us a review. Remember, you'll find free tools, downloads, and whatever else I've cooked up this week in the show notes. Check those out. Parenting is messy. Let's not do it alone. See you next time.